What's up, guys? I am in Unanaka. I've come to see the onsen monkeys. To be honest, it's too early in the time of year to come for this. Until half an hour ago, there were no monkeys there, but I've been checking the webcam. They're there now. I brought along the new Fuji 200mm f2 with the teleconverter and the new X-T3 to test out. So let's go for a little hike and see some monkeys. It's a beautiful hike up to the onsen area. This is my first time coming when it's not covered in snow. I'm actually here finalizing some details for my March 2019 tour. You can check out the details at that link. Now let's look at the gear. So I am traveling with the Fuji X-T3 to do a full field tested review on this. That's going to be coming soon. But in short, I love the mechanical controls on this. It's doing 11 frames a second or 30 with crop. It does 4K 60p and 10-bit analog all in camera. The Fujis don't have IBIS, but most of the lenses do have optical image stabilization built in. And famously, they've skipped full frame, which is generally allowing the bodies and lenses to be much smaller and lighter. But not in this case. This thing is a behemoth. It's big, it's wide, it's long, and it's pretty heavy, but not as heavy as some of its counterparts. You can see it's got a lot of customizable focus hold buttons and focus buttons. Now overall, this is about the same length and width as my favorite Nikon lens ever, their 200 f2, but the Fuji is 1.5 pounds lighter and comes paired with a 1.4 teleconverter. I love that they've kept the manual aperture ring on there, although occasionally I would bump it and it wouldn't be on the one that I wanted, and you can't control it then from the dials on the camera. But this is going to make your system big and heavy, no longer a nimble little system. As I showed before, with the cameras it's almost the same as the D850, and you'll note that this does not have drop-in filters. That one is from the Nikon, so you're going to need 105mm front filters on this lens if you want them. With the crop factor, this is a 300mm field of view, which means it gets a longer hood than the Nikon, which then really equalizes the size, and both combos become about one cat in height. You can check out the full specs and order one if you want in the USA at Genius/X200U or worldwide at Genius/X200W. So let's go back to the shooting. I basically shot away with the monkeys for a couple of hours. It's really fun. It's my third or fourth time going there. Occasionally using a fixed focal length like this is limiting because they do change their distance from you all the time. But I did find that the 200 on the crop worked really well. I did also get some samples with the 1.4 teleconverter. I'll show you some samples a little later. For now, let's have a look at some of the footage I captured and some stills. Now these are known as onsen monkey or snow monkey. They're actually Japanese macaque, and they get that name because they do live most of the year in snowy areas. In fact, there's no other primates, non-human primates, that live further north or in a colder climate than these guys. But hey, if you're going to live somewhere cold like that, you might as well do it where you have access to hot onsen all year round. Now overall, I found the focus on this really good, definitely faster than the 50-140, but I have to say not as fast as I get with my Nikon setup, even though I'm not comparing them side by side here. I think that just comes down to the X-T3 not being as fast to focus as, say, a D850 is, rather than a problem with the lens. Now, whilst a lot of the monkeys were really cute, there was one particular baby who seemed to be taking its first ever climbs, and I tracked it for about half an hour. It was so cute watching it try to climb up the railing and stuff, wrestling with its friends, all in front of an audience. It was really sweet. Now, I personally think it's great that this lens comes paired with a 1.4 teleconverter, as long as it doesn't degrade the image too much. So let's take a look at some full res ones here. To be honest, this will have been compressed a lot, but I'm really impressed with the quality coming off these. You can download a sample pack of the images here at this link. They're full RAWs. Now, the X-T3 does have face and eye detection, and I was actually really surprised to see it occasionally picked up on the monkey's face. Now, before you rush out to tell Sony users that they've been beaten in the race for animal faces, it wasn't reliable at all. It occasionally would grab a face, and it also occasionally thought this was a face. And this was a face. So it's still got a fair bit of room to go. I guess the algorithm's been left a little bit looser, so it's able to pick up some faces that look a bit like a monkey's and the occasional butt. Let's jump into Capture One now and take a look at some of these files. You can see there's just incredible detail going through them. It's really quite remarkable. Now these first ones have all been just the straight up 200 f2. Let's take a look at a couple here with the teleconverter, and you can see it's still almost as good. It seems they've done a really good job on pairing the lens to the teleconverter, and it's just working great with the new X-T3. I've been using Capture One all this year and absolutely loving it. If you want to pick up your own copy, go to the link on screen, use the code MATTG, and you can get 10% off either their outright purchase or their subscription plans. Make sure that you've subscribed to see my full field tested video that's going to be coming soon. Now you'll notice I've gone for a bunch of different edits here, some black and white, some color. One thing I found really helpful, if you compare, say, this image to this image, the second one I think is a lot more beautiful because of that colorful background. So I was intentionally moving myself around once the monkey seemed to sit still for a few seconds to try and get some plants and foliage in the background that I knew would blur out to just a nice beautiful color using the lens wide open. Okay folks, I'm back in Tokyo now. It's been a few days since I was shooting with this. I've had time to reflect on it and look at the images. Make sure you check out the zip file of RAWs that I've put up at the link on screen. Look, overall I think it's a fantastic lens, and it's great to see mirrorless companies bringing specialist tele lenses like this out. For me, if I was considering a system, this would really be something that I would consider because I love the 200 f2 so much. Now keep in mind, being that this is a crop, you're getting an effective field of view of 300 and you're not going to get the same depth of field. If nothing else, to get the same frame on the monkeys, I had to be that much further back, which means that much greater depth of field. But having said that, I was still getting incredible subject isolation, beautiful soft blurred backgrounds, and what's just as important, razor sharp in focus areas. So yes, this is an incredibly expensive lens, but if you're looking for something fantastic quality, I actually think for $6,000 with a paired teleconverter, comparing it to what's on the market, with the optical advances in the years that have passed, and the weight savings this has over the Canon and Nikon variants, it's actually a pretty damn good deal. So you can check it out at the links on screen. They're also in the description below. Let me know any questions you might have, and stay tuned because my field tested review of the X-T3 will be out before too long. Cheers guys.